Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Elbows Down MotoGP podcast. This is the French Grand Prix review. As always, I'm joined by co-host Alex. How are you?
Ahoy, hoy. I'm much better than last week. Apologies for my absence last week. I just fucking lost my voice. I succumbed to this stupid cold that was going around in the middle of spring. I was like, why have we got a cold in the middle of spring? But, I say succumbed to it. It sounds like I died from it, but it was pretty close. Yeah. Touch and go at times. But thank you very much to Ryan for filling in for me last week.
Yeah, cheers, man.
So that was, much appreciated. I just needed a few days off from talking to people, and my job, I talk to people constantly. And as you can imagine, I talk a lot. So, anyway, we've got the French Grand Prix review, which was one of the best weekends of the year, if not the best weekend of the year,
yes,
especially for MotoGP. We're going to be talking about the French Grand Prix sprint and the main Grand Prix itself.
Of course.
And we're also going to be talking a little bit about Moto3 and the rather dull Moto2 race, which we probably won't go that much into because what? But yes, we're going to talk a little bit first about how much of the weekend we saw, because Jimmy, you were working for pretty much the entire weekend, weren't you?
Annoyingly, yeah. I can put it on the big screen.
Yeah.
But when you're putting a Grand Prix on live at the big screen, yes, you want to watch it live, and you can. I have the access to do it, so I'm going to do it, but I know I can't pay full attention, which is really, really annoying.
Because knowing your luck, you'll be in the middle of finalising a deal with a customer. Then something massive will happen, and you'll start yelling in their face.
It's quite high up. It's quite high up above the till area. So, and I was around the showy stand fitting an intercom.
Yeah, you can't really be fitting an intercom, finalising a sale, and going, "Oh, Quattro's crashed."
Yeah,
it doesn't really work like that.
Yeah. But what a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And speaking of Fabiaro, there you go,
Fabiaro. There we go. Short the name.
He actually started the weekend really well, and predictions with Ryan. I was saying that I feel really confident about. He's going to be, MotoGP being a confidence sport, he's going to be on top of the world from. The Jerez Grand Prix performance he had in the sprint. Yes, he crashed, but obviously P2 in the race, the pole lap record. Comes to Le Mans, I really thought he was going to do well, and he did do well. The pace was there, the dry pace was there. The wet pace was there, to be fair, for a few laps. Another pole lap record on the M1, on that new M1 with the new motor in it. Fantastic. And I couldn't believe it. Again, I don't think it's going to be just a pole bike because he did finish P2 in the Jerez race, fair dry race, but we know it's a Yamaha track. Le Mans has been known to be a Yamaha track. We didn't get a dry race. But away from that for a second, just in general, Le Mans, 311,000, I think, over the course of the weekend. We know those numbers are a bit strange.
Yes, there was something about it. A few people mentioned it, and I was sort of thinking as well. Like, when they announced 311,000 people in attendance, right, there aren't 311,000 in attendance.
Yeah.
311,000 people have passed through the gates over the 3 days of...
Yeah. I think
the race weekend.
The true number would be difficult. You'd have to go into each ticket and how many times that ticket has gone through the doors over 3 days because people have weekend tickets.
Yes,
and all that.
Yes.
But
it's a bit like when,
it would be dicking around a lot.
It's a bit like when they say there's 100,000 people at Silverstone. It's like, no, there isn't. There's about 30,000 people at Silverstone. But those people have been here all weekend. Yeah, this year there'll probably be about. We've got record attendance, record low attendance of 12,000 people.
If there's 30 this year, given how it's going to be, that's a score. If you ask me, that's pretty good.
We're not talking about Silverstone.
No, we're not. Well, you started it. That's your fault.
I knew that.
Sorry, I
knew that I would lead you into that rabbit hole. Yeah. Anyway,
God, we got to preview that next week.
Anyway, fuck's sake.
And we're not going.
We're not. This is going to be the first year where we don't. Yeah. But Fabio Quartararo. Let's talk about Fabio Quartararo first and foremost in MotoGP. Topped almost every session of the weekend. Didn't start out as free practice one, whatever. Forget about that. P6 and that, and then doesn't matter. Whatever. Got dialed in by practice, top practice, and then FP2, P2 in that sort of thing. Obviously got pole position as well.
Yep.
Amazing. and just watching practice sessions and hearing the roar of a crowd is so exciting.
Yeah, it
is.
is.
When you're watching something that is supposed to be sort of like just keep an eye on it. And when I'm at work and I'm setting up the bar on a morning, and with these European rounds where the practice sessions are happening in the morning, I've got one eye on it, one ear on it, and I'm hoovering, I'm mopping, that sort of thing, and getting the pub set up. But you can hear the
you hear it at Jerez as well. You hear it in Mugello, but Le Mans is definitely the one I've heard it most. It's ridiculous.
This is why I think the most exciting time of the year will be this period where we've just had Thailand, which seems like fucking like a year ago. We've had a couple that round, and then it's sort of chilled out a little bit.
Argentina, Texas,
Qatar, forget it. Qatar's just full of influencers and rich people that don't care.
Although, ironically, the race was good. But
ironically, the race was really good. But then you get to places like Jerez, where it's like, this is what the sport's all about. Then you're like, oh, how can we top that? I know. Let's go to Le Mans. And then they went to Le Mans, and holy fuck balls, it was amazing. All weekend. Every single time Fabio did anything, every single time Zarco did anything, wow. I mean, getting pole position for Fabio, amazing. And I was so chuffed. Everybody was chuffed. I don't think there was a single person in the world, even Marc Marquez, was probably chuffed that Fabio got pole.
He was probably even I think, Mark being Mark, he probably would have rather been a pole. Of course he would, but I don't think he was too worried. He probably knew.
Middle of the first row.
Don't worry, Fabio. I'll have you in the sprint race. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, the middle of the front row is kind of like a pole position as well. If you think about it, especially in Le Mans, where there's going to be a lot of. You expect quite a lot of melee going down into the first corner, and you expect it to be
that weird first corner.
That really weird first corner. I don't think it really matters where you are in the front two rows because you've got
because of the first section.
Because of the first section. In MotoGP, definitely in Moto3 as well. Weirdly, you can get into that first corner and you can come out on top. And that is absolutely what happened in Moto3, which we'll go on to in a moment. But it's
speaking of, before we get on to the main race and obviously the Fairytale, the real life Fairytale, we watched it in TNT Sports, as I'm sure many of you do, and I noticed that it's a bit awkward if you're using the rear ride height device. You've got to somehow disengage it into that first corner where you don't lay off the throttle. You're already leaning over slightly when you're still on full throttle. And then they back off. And Mark, did you watch when Mark only used it when he knew the next lap was going to be kerfuffled? Because he had to disengage it, and that would have ruined it. So he on his fast lap on Friday, I think he did it in qualifying as well. Maybe Saturday morning. And a few of the riders did it. That's really clever. Just for that last blast over land. This is a good lap. This is going to be lap. Right, I'm going to use it because I know use it now. Really good. Annoying that it has to happen, but it's still quite interesting. I like stuff like that to a degree.
But this is it. I mean, we always talk about...
Many weren't doing it, though.
Yeah, I mean, we're not looking at road bikes. We're not looking at stock bikes. We're looking at the prototypes. This is the absolute
best of the best on the
This is the best of the best. The sort of bikes that you could not use on a road. This is the most ridiculous pieces of machinery on the planet. If you don't like it, go to World Superbike.
Which is already too fast for itself. But anyway.
Yeah, indeed.
But I thought that was really interesting.
It's a really, really good point. And watching when the riders were using the rear ride height device in those corners, certain riders were, certain riders weren't, and you just think it's all about using your nous and using your initiative as well, and knowing when to just tap into that extra little thing that you need
that can make that half a tenth. I don't think it's a whole tenth coming out the last corner. It might be. I reckon between. This is guesswork here, but if you think you're on the best lap, just to make sure, in case you've made a tiny mistake, or just in general, just to use that on your qualifying lap. Neil Hodgson was saying, through TNT, and he was right, because of the nature of that first section, which, as you say, if you're on the second row, third row, I think is a push. I think if you're on the second row, you can make so many positions into that Dunlop chicane. You can sort of sacrifice you can carry too much speed into that first right, which is ridiculous. I love it. It's so fast at the entrance, and you can sacrifice some speed and make up 4 places and try and get it stopped. Just try and get it stopped, and hopefully you won't go too wide. And obviously in the main race that works as well. That's because people take liberties in the wet. But Neil Hodgson was saying, I wonder if it can be something in the safety commission, a meeting that says that, look, no ride out devices, because the disengagement, they're so powerful now and so effective that going into a long kink that gets tighter and tighter and tighter before I always confuse myself and think the first turn at Le Mans is the chicane. It isn't. No. But it's the first section. It was going to be dangerous. Obviously, it was wet anyway. I don't think anyone
for the main race.
For the main race, I don't think anyone was using it at all. Maybe for the start and disengaged it immediately. I'm not sure actually, because everyone's focusing on what tyres everyone on, when you're going to swap the bike and everything. But yeah, I think that's a very valid point that Neil Hodgson put up there, and I don't want to see that happen. An accident is obviously what I'm talking about there, but yeah, we should move on from that and say that Fabio's performance in the sprint was as good as could have been.
Exemplary.
Really. Yeah, it was, and I love that fight back.
Oh, mate, so many great Quartararo battles happened in the sprint.
Yeah,
and talk about Marquez and definitely Aldeguer. What the fuck did he find this weekend? It was incredible. Yeah. Aldeguer really, really, really came to his own. I mean, he qualified 4th on the grid, first of the second row, and he was just strong all weekend. And Aldeguer, the battles that he gave us over Friday and Saturday, well, Saturday definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, his battle with Quartararo, and I remember listening to Neil and Gavin saying, if he makes a mistake now, dive bombing Fabio, he's going to need a serious security team to get him off the circuit. But he didn't. I mean, there was that battle.
Yeah, he was aggressive.
He was really aggressive, and the contact that he made with Fabio, and then, but he made it work, and Fabio did a really, really, really good job to recover from that and recover the position he got. I mean, I really, really rated Firmino all weekend. I look at him thinking, this is it. Now he's got it. Now he's tuned in. Yeah. I mean, it's a circuit that Aldeguer likes.
Yeah. He, to be fair, I think he was also good in Jerez. He was getting there in Jerez.
He was getting there in Jerez. Yeah. But it was, for me, sorry.
That's all right.
Dreadful. For me, he was just exemplary all weekend. He really, really was. Yeah. And we've seen him be aggressive and stupid before, ambitious but rubbish, as Top Gear would call it. And it hasn't paid off. But it's the same thing that we saw Acosta doing last year. You know, same stupid mistakes, and then them not paying off. But Aldeguer seems to, for some reason, be making the stupid mistakes and then just going, blah. Carry on. Yeah. And he's carrying on. He's doing an amazing job. And this weekend,
team for rookie.
His first sprint podium, we thought, right, cool, that'll be it for a little bit. Maybe we'll get another sprint podium at some point. Maybe we'll get another podium at some point. And then he followed it up with a second podium. Yeah. In probably one of the most difficult races that we're going to see that we have seen for a long time. Yeah. And probably will see for a while. So for me, really, really, really impressed me. Because as I was saying before, you know, last year we had Acosta being aggressive and binning it. For me, finally seems to have sort of found something, and I'd never have said that he would be the sort of the top rookie. Well, no, I probably would have, to be honest, but I think he did an incredible job. He was strong all weekend, and we didn't really see him make many mistakes at all over the weekend.
He was very impressive.
Very impressive.
Well, I think it's probably now to sort of eat a little bit of humble pie on my behalf. And I have been... I was quite critical of him after the sprint, just saying, yeah, well, he's on a Ducati. I still think there'd be people. I still do think there'd be people.
We've shat on Fermin Aldeguer ever since he got the deal for Gresini.
Yeah. It's because we're basing it off 2024, folks.
And the whole deal was based on his 2023 performance towards the end of it.
Yeah, and that's when they signed him, back in the 23.
Yeah.
Pedro
Acosta's year, and we just thought, hang on a minute, what the fuck is he's got such an early... The thing is, they're talking at the moment about, there's been a couple of mentions with Jose Antonio Rueda in Moto3. Is it too soon for us to talk about him moving up to Moto2? And everyone's going, yes, it is. And Jose Antonio Rueda has also said, yes, it is too soon to talk about that sort of thing. And Neil or Gavin, I can't remember who it was on TNT, said something along the lines of, it's not just too early to talk about whether he's moving up to Moto2 next year. It's also too early to talk about whether or not he's going to be the champion this year. At this point, you're just chipping away, doing race weekends, winning races, getting podiums, doing all the stuff that you're supposed to do. And then in a few rounds' time, when we get to the summer break, then we start thinking about next year's championship, which is weird that we've got silly season stuff for MotoGP this early on. But we're going to get onto that in a moment's time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what a ride from Fermin Aldeguer all weekend. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Now, I just want to bump this in here while we've got... because we did it. We had a couple of intros before this, which didn't get off to the we didn't get the whole shot on those ones. Sorry, that was really
didn't engage.
Yes, quite. Now, you were working all weekend.
Yeah.
I was working all weekend and I had Sunday off. And usually when I have Sunday off, I book Sundays off at work when I know that there's a GP. And this weekend I'd booked off not because there was a GP.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a different motorsport event this weekend. I was at Harewood Hill Climb, which, by the way...
4 wheels.
4 wheels, yes. By the way, if you're into motorsport and you want a really nice, cheap day out, go to a fucking hill climb event.
Yeah.
Absolute best thing I've done. It was absolutely brilliant. And so the pub,
more relaxed,
the pub that I used to run, the Stone Trough in Kirkham Priory, Kirkham Abbey, but it's actually a priory because it was never an abbey; it was a priory.
Yes.
Anyway, one of my regulars there, Dave Tatham, he was racing British Hill Climb, and he has been racing British Hill Climb for the last few years. He's really bloody good at it. And so I went to go and see him with one of my old colleagues, Tom, and we went to watch the Harewood Hill Climb. And funnily enough, it happened to be the one fucking Sunday that I had off that wasn't for MotoGP, and we got the absolute best race of the fucking year.
Yeah.
Well, the most insane race of the year.
Yeah.
And there I was at the hill climb, sending pictures of cars and videos of cars going up there, because you're right at the top of the track, and you're like, Ferraris, hill climb cars have got 1100s, 600s, which use bike engines.
Yes, you can hear them.
So GSXR engines, R1 engines, all that sort of stuff on the actual hill climb cars. Really fucking cool. 15 quid to get in, if you care about your money. 15 quid to get in, you get a program for free that doesn't fall apart in your hands like the one at Silverstone. And
that's because it rained over,
No, you literally open it and it's like snap.
Oh, that one,
and then like, there's some pages here, there's some pages there. And that was at MotoGP. But the British Hill Climb event, oh my God. So they're a bit of a club part, and then they had the championship, and it was just, it was so exciting.
Brilliant.
And it was red hot, and that's why I'm quite olive-skinned at the moment.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was at Harewood for the British Hill Climb event, which was incredible, and I was chomping at the bit to get back for Le Mans, because all I was getting was texts from people saying, "Oh my God, have you seen what's just happening? Have you seen what's happening? Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!"
Thankfully, not from me, because I know if Alex is there or he didn't want it spoiling, or I don't know.
But you did send me a text saying, "Oh my God, this race! Oh my God, this race! This is the most mental race." Blah blah blah. So I was like, "Fuck off! Fuck off! I don't want to hear this." Anyway, so I got back and I put it straight on, and I was like, "Oh." So I suppose that's going to segue us nicely into talking about the main race itself, which was probably one of the most bizarre races that we'll see for a while. Zarco seems to do really well in bizarre races with mixed conditions, especially when they're leaning on the soggy side.
Those really weird conditions that aren't fully wet, but obviously MotoGP hasn't used intermediate tyres for a long, long time.
It's like God has spaffed us a little
it's
bit.
not a full wet race, and it's hard conditions. Like that take the ultra concentration out of you, all of it. The most concentrated I ever have to be, because it isn't fully wet, it isn't fully dry. Well, it was more wet, to be fair. And it rained, it started to pour down after like 4 or 5. About the time when Fabio binned it, and straight behind him, Brad Binder crashed
for the first
in
time.
Unison.
For the first time,
really, exactly, and I think Alex Marquez crashed twice as well, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah.
So, those conditions are horrible, and obviously, I mean, Alex and I watch it properly after. Usually we get a Sunday off, or one of us at least watches it properly, fully, and I had it on at work. But when I watched it fully, I was doing a barbecue here and trying to make sense of the new start procedure for these races was quite difficult. But it was a bit more clear when you watch it properly. It probably made more sense than what Mark tried, the study he tried putting in Kota. But still, it got going. And honestly, I had no idea he was going to win that race, because Mark is actually quite good in the wet anyway. Unless he pushes his luck. But why would he push his luck when he's probably going to win this championship? He is the best rider in the world on the best bike. I honestly, Fabio was carving through the field again. He was about to catch Mark. He was fast as Mark. And the moment the commentator said that on TNT, that's when he crashed.
It was the epitome of commentators' curse.
Yes, yeah.
The epitome of commentators' curse.
Which happens to the best of the world of commentators. But obviously, it's a myth, but it is a thing, to be fair. But I mean, after that,
well, it definitely was.
After that, you just think, oh no. I mean, I did see that on the big screen at work. I thought, fuck's sake.
Then we just thought, oh right, well, we'll be listening to the Spanish national anthem at some point today, and then lo and behold,
and then Johann Zarco finds himself in the lead, and I thought Miller would actually go on to lead that race, and he could have done, should have won it. Zarco had such a great lead, but he had so long to go. He had 3/4 of the race left, and
people say that Miller,
I can't believe it. I still can't believe it now.
People say that Miller should have won that race had he not crashed. But think about it this way, right? Oliveira at one point was looking like he was going to be the leader. He was going to run away with the lead. He was there with Zarco. And Oliveira could have easily gotten past everybody and got into the lead. It didn't come into fruition. But, I mean, obviously he crashed. But with Jack, the issue that he had is that all of the bike changes for the major Ducatis, i.e. Aldeguer, the Marquez brothers, that sort of thing, that happened pretty early on in the race. And I'm sorry, but if you're on a Yamaha, where they've probably got the worst straight line speed of all of the bikes on the grid, in fact they do have the worst straight line speed.
But in the wet, don't you think it matters less? It does.
It should, but Quartararo couldn't get.
The thing is with Fabio, we don't really know
what he could have done.
What
he could have done. But the thing is, once the Marquez brothers were in tune, they were in. Once they were dialed in with the wet bikes, that was it. They were away. And but what amazed me about the whole thing is with Zarco, when he was like 14 seconds or something daft
and you've got about the same amount of laps left.
And this is it. And you're thinking, right, now the Marquez brothers are going to start really cracking down on stuff. They're going to be like pitch perfect, beating everything perfectly. And they just weren't. And Zarco kept posting best laps. And everyone was flapping. Everybody was flapping. Even Sylvain Guintoli was like, fucking hell, I should go down to the pit lane,
Yeah.
and just be like, slow the fuck down.
Yeah, I mean,
slow down.
Alex Marquez has won a wet race. He's won a wet sprint before.
Yeah.
So I expected him to be as fast as Mark. And Mark, you mentioned Oliveira. Mark was able to, glide past him, really.
Yes, he was.
But yeah, Zarco did no such thing. The gap was maintained, but he actually pulled away, and that's when obviously Lucio, I think, once told him to slow down. I think I was actually further on into the race, but Mark backed off, obviously thinking if I bin this now with Pecco not even in this race anymore,
like P16
nightmare for Pecco today, guys. I haven't really got much to say about that because I mean he crashed at the same place in the sprint in the race. Mir was involved as well, but to be honest, anyway, back to what I was saying. Zarco was he more or less crashed the first corner. He had to avoid everything. He was nearly last when the race started, folks, and finds himself into the lead. But the thing is, Mark could have caught him.
Yes,
I think if he really tried to, it would have been messy. I think he would have. He could have been that easy. Zarco would have thought, no, I'm winning this race. I'm winning this home race. I just need to have a good lap.
And he just chipped away. Chipped away.
Yeah.
And do you know what I noticed? So I had an advantage and also a personal disadvantage. Is that when I got back from Harewood, I clicked onto TNT Sports and I clicked onto MotoGP Race, which has been and gone, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I click onto it, and the first thing that comes up is the fucking podium.
Yeah, Shannon told me this.
And I was livid. No. I was like, no. And I saw Zarco.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to tell Zarco. Yeah. You can't mistake him for another rider because he's the only rider in the red, white, and green.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're fucking kidding me. Right, Zarco's won. That's amazing.
How has that happened? How's it got to that? Yeah.
So I rewound it all the way. And then when the starting grid happened, I was like, right, Zarco's pretty far back. And then I thought, right, I'm going to watch what Zarco does on the start line.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I didn't really know what was going on.
Analyse it properly. I realised there
was a whole problem with... who was choosing wets and slicks and that sort of thing, and people leaving the grid, and the Marquez rule coming into effect. But when I saw Zarco's launch off the line, I thought, how is he going to win this race? Because it was just boom, boom.
It wasn't a good start.
Like that.
Zarco's start doesn't even come into how he wins the race.
Awful start. Awful start. And then especially when you look at it and he goes into turn one and he goes into Shimano Ver, and then he gets pushed wide by the accident caused by Enea Bastianini, which was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
What a stupid line for Bastianini to take.
Yeah.
Clearing out the rider and then obviously pushing Zarco wide. And I thought, how on earth is Zarco going to win? Because I knew just by seeing the podium.
Yeah.
I was like, how the fuck is Zarco going to win?
Sometimes it is quite interesting. I mean, I'm sure viewers know, our listeners know, that when you do have the result spoiled to you, and it is a bit of a far-fetched result,
it's actually quite useful.
It's like, how does this unfold then? This is going to be interesting. So I've had that many times, unfortunately. But the composure and the concentration was brilliant, and he did extend the lead, and Mark backed off, and obviously Mark finally playing it safe. That obviously the championship's important, and now he's got a over 20-point lead. I think Pecco's 50 points back now. 50 points back. I couldn't believe it. And do you know what I did?
51.
I was 50. Sorry, I'm so sorry. That's a lot. That's a lot this time of year. And Pecco got some work.
2 race wins and a sprint point.
But then obviously that's obviously we got to include Alex Marquez in the tail, and I think that'd be fair to say it's still at this point anyway.
100%. I mean, looking at it right now, he's 12 points behind his brother.
Yeah.
Quick maths. No, 23 points behind his brother.
Yeah. But
23 points behind his brother. Yeah.
But back to Zarco, obviously, I was still at work when I had it live, and I had to keep glimpsing. I thought, is he still on? It sounds bad, but I was like, is he still on? Yeah, he's still on. 4 laps left. He's still on. 3 laps left. He's still on. 1 lap left because I missed.
It was like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. that clip I must have watched it about 20 times. You can find it on Twitter. There's a compressed video. It's just Zarco in the last 4 corners, and it's almost like I swear in one of the grandstands there's like someone on drums, like boom, boom, boom. Like you can hear them every corner. And Neil Hodgkin he goes, give us a wave, and
actually don't give us a wave.
Gavin Emmett like, don't give us a wave, and then obviously Zarco did give a wave just before the last corner.
Yeah.
And slowed right down to say to his team, and the sound from the crowd was amazing.
One thing that I thought about Zarco's win that was quite odd was he came over the line and then pulled immediately up to the pit wall.
Yeah.
It pulled up to the pit wall. I was like, fucking hell, that's a bit dodgy, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't see.
Surely there's a rule that says what. Like,
no, there isn't.
Do your cool down lap.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. Thing is, the finish.
Go and say hello to your team afterwards.
Think because the finish line, they've gone over the finish line, and after that, it's a slow down lap. So because obviously every track, I mean, most of you will know this, but every track, the finish line is before the start and finish line.
Yes.
So as soon as you went over that, it didn't matter what you did, really, did it? Let's be honest. As long as you're in park firme, your bike's not underweight, this, that, and the other.
It is.
But yeah, you're right. You do not see that often, and obviously. Just so happy for the team. Lucio Cecchinello, I mean, that is Zarco has a full HRC spec bike, and Chantra does as well. But it's full HRC setup. But that is one of the best. I've been in that hospitality before. It's such an independently run, fun Italian team.
And we want to talk obviously about the atmosphere and how everything was and all that sort of stuff. But just a couple of quick things.
Yeah.
Lucio Cecchinello hasn't won a race. His team haven't won a race since Kota with Alex Rins 2023.
Yeah.
I mean, that was incredible. That was fucking bizarre.
Yeah.
And this race was bizarre. What is it about LCR Honda that win bizarre races?
Yeah, they do, yeah. I mean,
if you'd have said to me at the beginning of this year, oh, well, Zarco's going to be there and he's going to win a race this year, I'd be like, shit off.
Yeah, their last...
That is ridiculous.
In fact, their last... Apart from Rins' weird win in Kota... The last 2 wins they've had, I mean, obviously you've got, Cal won in Argentina in 2018. That was their last win before Alex's win in 2023, and that was a damp race in Argentina. Cal also won in Brno 2016, his first win, and the first British rider win since Sheen in the early 80s, and that was a damp Brno in 2016. I think Cal did win for LCR in the drying for the pile in 2016. But yeah, there seems to be a dark horse in damp conditions. None of those races.
Dark horse.
Yes, there were never fully wet races, but yeah, I've just put in my notes here. I need to mention this because we speak about. I mean, yeah. By the way, a great day for French motorsport. I think Gavin Emmett has a way with words for TNT, and it sounds like this is about TNT, but he does put himself in French motorsport folklore. I mean, that is a great thing to say, and it's true. Like, I mean, 125,000 fans will never ever forget that day. Bless you.
Oh, guess what, Dad?
They were there that day that Zarco won. I mean, fantastic thing to be able to say. And it might never happen again for a long time. I mean, Fabio is only, 25, 26? He might have another 10 years. Might have another 10 years left in him yet. So hopefully, Fabio, I mean, obviously, the Friday night, the Thursday night, the Saturday night, he takes the bike out and waves to the fans. The start finish. And on the Saturday night, there's the livery reveal, the boot reveal, the helmet reveal. It's almost, oh, God, please bring it home.
Do you know what's crazy, though, is that the record was broken for Le Mans for the crowd in 2022 after Fabio Quartararo just won the previous World Championship, previous year's World Championship. And that was a record year for them, and I think that was like 220,000.
Yeah.
And now every single year since has been crazy record numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are only 2 French riders in the entire
grid, yeah.
Not this grid, the entire Grand Prix paddock, because we've not got Lorenzo Fallon.
Correct.
And who else did we used to have? Another Frenchman.
No, you're right.
Lorenzo Fallon was the most recent for CIP Green Power a couple of years ago. We've not had Lorenzo Fallon for a while. But apart from that,
do you know what?
They've had nobody else to cheer on.
Great point, Alex.
And then we've got, in MotoGP, we've got a world champion and a double Moto2 world champion.
Yeah. And a MotoGP race winner, yeah.
MotoGP race winner in both of them. What's crazy about crazy about Johann Zarco is obviously he's only got 2 race wins. But I think Phillip Island 2023 was his last win, and that year there was no sprint race because of the adverse weather conditions.
Yes,
so they cancelled the sprint race. They postponed the sprint race to after the Moto2 race, and then they decided actually no, fuck this. This is too bad. So they got rid of the sprint entirely in Phillip Island because that was a really choppy year weather-wise. So he only scored the 25 points, only scored the 25 points for the Sunday race. So this is Johann Zarco scoring 29 points, obviously got 4 points in the sprint, P6.
Yeah.
And this is his highest scoring
whole weekend
of his MotoGP 2 and 3 career.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you can only really say it in MotoGP because since 2023, because of the sprint format, you can't score more than 25 points before that. But yeah, this is his highest scoring with 29 points. This is his highest scoring weekend.
Yeah. And brilliant, absolutely
unbelievable.
That couldn't have been timed better.
And I'll tell you what, and I texted you this. It couldn't have happened to a better man.
Yeah.
It couldn't have happened to a better man. I don't think there's anybody in that paddock that doesn't like him.
Yeah.
And I love him. I've always loved him. Ever since I sort of first really got back into MotoGP after a long hiatus.
Yeah.
I just thought, who's this dirty-looking French bastard? I was like, actually,
he's an awesome guy.
He's a fucking great guy.
Yeah.
He's a fucking great guy.
Yeah.
And he looks French.
You're on about his hair. That's all you're on about.
No, my mum walked. My mum came round, and we were taking the dog for a walk. She was like, "What are you doing? Are we ready to go for a dog walk?" And I was like, "Mum, can I just watch Le Marseillais? Please, can we just hang on? We'll take the dog for a walk in a minute."
That was stunning.
Give me a sec. And I was like, so this guy, he's French, and he's just won his second ever Grand Prix. He's 34 years old, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And she went, fuck me, he looks French as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But this is my mum who's like, doesn't generalise at all. I mean, her favourite band are BTS from Korea. She's ultra sort of like wokey and silly and all that sort of thing. Anyway, she was like, fuck me, he looks French. It's like, yeah, he does look French. And then he did his, well, I did great race and all sort of stuff. And I was like, oh God, he is French.
Yeah, I interviewed Johann in Silverstone in 2014 when he was riding for the Caterham Moto2 team.
Wow.
That's a niche one for you folks.
Yeah.
That was when I was an annoying, keen blogger, and I knocked on their door, no answer. I waited another few minutes. I thought,
and you got a Joe answer.
No. It was awful. That was terrible. I knocked again.
Sorry.
I knocked again, and I'm just going to talk over you. That was terrible. I knocked again, and someone opened the door, and he's just loving himself, right?
Sorry.
You sure you're not 30 yet?
Please
but yeah, he wasn't really interested in speaking to me. But the team manager of the Caterham Moto2 team asked him, I said, "Where's it going? What's it for?" I said, "It's just my own blog." Blah 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 blah. And he went back in and dragged Johann out.
Nice.
And he spoke to me for about 5 minutes. Yeah, it'd be on my old articles or something somewhere. But yeah, he was. I mean, that was
post those to the pod thing, and then.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, well, why not? Yeah,
people can read them for your show answer.
Oh, I spoke to him once. Yeah. No, but he's still laughing.
I'm so sorry. I do that a lot. To be fair.
Yeah. Well, I do because I work with
children.
I work with two dads. And their jokes are horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous. But yeah, anyway. but yeah. I mean,
Alas came into the pub the other day, right?
Yeah.
Alas came into the pub the other day. Asked me for a double entendre. So I gave her one.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna
one of those nights.
Anyway,
It's a good job your girlfriend doesn't listen to this, isn't it? Sorry, wife.
It's a good job I'm already married, so she can't get out of it very easily.
This took a turn. Anyway, back to Johann Zarco winning the French GP.
Yeah.
I also wanted to say, we were speaking about the attendance. I mean, Claude, is it Mishi? Claude Mish? Excuse me, sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. And his team who promote the French GP. I love that he was the first to stop and congratulate him. And that guy deserves it because that is the best GP of the year. I mean, I'm not talking about the result. I'm just talking about the event. What a genius! Yes, okay, it helps that you've got two French riders, but if you look back, I don't know, as far back as 20. No, not as recent, I should say, as 2017. If you look back as recent as 2018, I believe, there was still three British riders in Scott Rudding and Bradley Smith and Cal Crutchlow. And there was more attendance at Silverstone, but there wasn't that attendance.
No. Well, this is what I was going on about earlier on.
So fair play to his team, and well done, congratulations. You have the best event, and everyone who creates a MotoGP event now should be, taking a leaf from your book, his book, because that is the perfect business model. It really is.
And put it this way as well. When someone leaves the stage and they go, follow that. Jerez leaves the stage and goes, follow that. Le Mans comes through and goes, all right. Yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
That stage at Le Mans is fantastic. I saw some of the clips on MotoGP socials and LCR social. Instagram is fantastic.
Yeah.
Just the atmosphere there there must be 3 times the crowd that you get at Day of Champions at Silverstone. It's and that's no disrespect to the charity, by the way. It's just obviously the attendance isn't their fault. It's just there's a lot more French interest in the best organised event, and everything just married up well. And I'll say, Alex was going to say anyway. I did cry. I cried at Le Marseille. I cried at his dad. I cried
at his dad. I cried at his dad and his mum. In the garage.
That's
and especially the fact that Johann said, "My dad is not an emotional guy. He doesn't cry at shit. He just just like whatever." And his dad was there like, "Oh,
yeah, he was, yeah." The poor guys. I think it was MotoGP socials or someone put without the crowd in the background, the commentary. You can actually hear him. You can actually hear him cry all night. And his mum never been to a MotoGP race before. This was her first MotoGP. And that happens. It's just you couldn't make it up.
Bring your mum more times, Johann.
Yeah.
Bring your mum. Want more of that.
Insane.
It was amazing. And I loved that he broke out from Parc Fermé and skipped over the walls. And by the way, he's an acrobat. You see the way that he does that vault thingy that I could never imagine doing in a million years. Where you just go, you bring both your legs over.
Yeah.
Whatever that vault is called, is a vault of some kind. I remember from school.
I'd call it backflip.
No. He's going over the railing. Is
that bit. Oh, right. Okay.
Another one. Whoop, like that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, great.
Yeah,
and then,
it's harder in full kit, is what you mean.
Yes. Yeah.
Full airbag kangaroo suit,
especially my full kit. Jesus Christ, it would never happen in the world. But then he breaks out of Parc Fermé, goes down straight. And it's just like, fuck it, I need to do a backflip now. And then gets onto the stand in front of all those people, and they're all like, whoa.
I'm glad he did that, because that was always his tradition when he won in Moto2. He'd always do a backflip.
Could you imagine if he bombed it, though?
Yeah, I know. It's damn,
I'm glad that he didn't.
Yeah.
He did an amazing job. Cracking backflip, and everything was absolutely perfect.
The only time I've heard a crowd sing their national anthem that well, it's probably when it's like maybe the Olympics in 2012 when I can't remember the first time. Is it Ennis won the gold medal, and then you've got all Wembley Stadium singing "God Save the Queen" and rugby matches. Your rugby matches. We're good in this country at singing our anthems. We'll all sing the anthems, but you won't really get it at Silverstone. Even F1, you might get it to a degree. MotoGP, Jake Dixon won last year.
2022 was pretty special.
Yeah.
Only because we were there, though. But
I'm saying, I was saying to Katie, wiping the tears from my eye, because she saw the dad again below the podium and the mum. and you hear the Marseille, just that crowd singing it.
Yeah.
I was just, of course, start crying again.
Perfect.
It was just so. But I just said, well, why can't we be like that? You know, I mean, obviously we've got no one there to do it, but at the same time, it's probably because our anthem isn't anywhere near as dramatic.
It's miserable.
It is miserable. Yeah,
miserable.
Yeah. It could be 10 of the tunes, couldn't it? But,
I mean, think of the Italian, Spanish, and French national anthems. They're all just so jaunty and fun and good, and then ours is like,
yeah.
God save our gracious King. It's like, come on, mate.
I still like it. I mean, when Dixon won last year,
yes,
you look around, and some people sit back down, and I'm stood up. You know, I'm stood up because I like standing on a race day anyway. But I'm like, what are you doing, guys?
As if British people are actually sitting down for the British national anthem. What are you
doing?
In America, you get shot
just
for
won
that
the
sort
race.
Of thing. You get shot.
Oh yeah, in America as well. I mean, Americans. I just think I loved it, but also just thought, oh God, I wish I was in a more patriotic country. And in this country, if you're too patriotic, no, I won't go there. No, you get told off for that.
No, let's go into it.
Just stick your Union Jack up here and see what happens. Yeah, but anyway, tremendous story, and it rarely happens, and it probably won't happen again like that for a while, unless, of course, Fabio does it. The thing is, the first time it happens, the first French MotoGP winner since the 50s, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I cannot believe it. 71 years. Well, yeah. I think it was 1952.
Yeah.
54.
So 73 years.
Yeah.
So
insane.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely insane. 54.
Yeah.
But yes, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I cannot. When they put that stat out, I thought, I can't believe that. That's insane.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so we're done talking about Zarco now.
Yeah, the end of the French Grand Prix. Well, we could just touch on the fact that Acosta shouldn't have bloody done that. He needed that bloody result badly, like really badly. And again, that means Aldeguer gets a podium. I mean, that was staff.
Those two apparently really don't like each other as well.
Well, it doesn't surprise me, to be fair. And I still would put... Well, this sounds really bitter because, again, it goes back to the whole he shouldn't have had that ride so early. But I think Acosta is maybe slightly more naturally gifted. But I could be wrong there anyway, because Aldeguer, when he was in his element on the Moto2 bike, he was there and he deserved it. He was winning, dominating, making everyone look like monkeys in Moto2.
Yeah.
But Acosta right now, he can't just keep blaming the bike, because that bike can get into Q2, it can get on front rows, it can get podiums, as Maverick has been proving.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on at KTM, and that's away from the financial difficulties, away from what we know might happen to them. It's not looking good at all for them for next year, but the current bike they're on and the current support they have, their budget is separate from all that for the year. So honestly, I'm really disappointed in Pedro bidding it there. I mean, for goodness sake. But yeah, I just hope that something happens. I just hope that he gets a good result soon. I don't want him to go to the Ducati. I don't want all the best riders in the world on the Ducatis. I'm sick of people saying, "Imagine Fabio." All weekend, people saying on socials, "Imagine Fabio on the Ducati." I don't want Fabio on the Ducati. I want the best riders in the world spread across the factories. That's the whole idea, isn't it?
But this is it as well. Is that we saw over the weekend again, even though he didn't actually come out on top points wise, Vinales was a top Ducati. KTM all weekend. Vinales was a top KTM all weekend. I mean, Acosta pipped him in the race, which is why he got more points, but Vinales finished higher in the sprint. He was
Acosta was ahead of Vinales before he binned it in the race, but
but Vinales was P5 all weekend, basically. Acosta game.
Yeah. Did I say crashed? Sorry.
He didn't crash.
I had a moment. Sorry. For fuck's sake. Fucking
all right.
Cut that out. Cut that out. To which bit, though? Fucking idiot.
Do you want to go back to...
You go.
So anyway, let's stop talking about Zarco now. And let's move on a little bit to the other riders in the race. Obviously, usually at this point we're talking about who was the top non-Ducati. But the most impressive non-Ducati rider of the weekend for me was Maverick Vinales once again. Maverick Vinales, incredible job. P5 pretty much all weekend. P5 race, P5 sprint, P5 qualifying.
Yeah.
Maverick was incredible. But
nice to know my predictions with Ryan were correct. I said Maverick would be strong. He's like, I'm not sure. I'm well, you watch Marv, and again,
he was extremely strong. But in the race, Acosta did have him. So Acosta P4 in the race. We're finally seeing Acosta being the top dog in KTM for a race. Usually it's Binder. A few times it's been Vinales, and finally now it's actually been Acosta himself beating Vinales and being top dog. So that was very impressive. One thing that I thought was really strange and a textbook move, a textbook result for someone so experienced is HRC's test rider Takaki Nakagami.
How can we not mention Taka? I mean, that was brilliant.
P6.
That would have been an amazing result in his full career.
Yes.
For goodness sake, one of his best in his full career.
He's probably his best in his full career. To be fair. Well, let's have a look at the sprint.
I mean,
where was Taka in the sprint?
You forget that these test riders
16.
get points. We don't forget to get points. What I should say is, I mean, test riders aren't really there to make up results, especially when you've got Aleix doing wild cards, and Aleix is back for Silverstone as a wild card. You've got Taka doing it in Le Mans.
I mean, it was adverse. It was unprecedented conditions. Not to hate to use one of those COVID words. It was unprecedented conditions. The top six, there were two Hondas in there, 1 and 6. They bookended the top.
My old man used to say though. My old man always used to say, "Yeah,
Lorenzo Savadori was P9 in the top. Yeah. In the top 10, we had 2 test riders.
The wet. I mean, to be fair.
And then outside of that, we had a Gura, Marini, Rins, Bastianini, Bezzecchi, Morbidelli, and bringing up the rear was Bagnaia with 0 points in the race. It's just fucking insane. If you'd have said that to me at the beginning of the weekend, that is what.
Butterfingers.
Fuck off. That is what it would look like this weekend on Sunday. Yeah. I'll get lost. I mean,
you could have put steady money on it, couldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Alex Marquez crashing out was,
twice.
Every now and again, I have this sort of thing where I just very glance at something, and I glanced at the podium and thought, "Oh, it's Mark and Alex and someone else," and then thought, "Hang on a minute, that's not Alex."
Yeah.
That's Aldeguer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, every now and again, the one time, but I think that Nakagami proves that. As much as I was going to say, my old man used to say the wet is a great leveler, and to finish, people in the dry wouldn't have been that high up, yes, but you still got to finish. You still got to stay on the bike, and the concentration needed in mixed conditions, which it was, is massive. So every single rider deserves it. I don't care that Zarco wouldn't have won in the dry. No, he wouldn't. He just wouldn't have done. But it doesn't matter because that's what happened, and that's part of a Grand Prix. That's part of the sport. People say, yeah, but I'm being a realist. I don't give a shit. Okay, by that logic, you postpone the event until it's dry. It doesn't work like that.
Do you know what's really fucking annoying? Had Maverick Vinales not have been given his tyre pressure penalty back at Kota, he would have 60 points at the moment, which would put him in front of Fabio Quartararo.
Yep.
And just behind Johann Zarco. And Zarco is in P6 in the standings at the moment. That's because he's won a race.
That's annoyed me. Thanks for Alex bringing that up. That's actually annoyed me.
He would be the top KTM right now. But instead, we've got Pedro Acosta in 46.
According to sources, which certain Facebook groups always say, never say what they are.
Classic.
He's still got his bonus, his podium bonus, even though it wasn't on classification officially.
Good. Yeah. So he fucking should.
But yeah, Taka, brilliant. Ralph Fernandez, P7. That's good. He needs that. He needs that a lot. I don't know what's going to happen to him next year, but that'll be in the coming pods, in the coming weeks, in the coming months.
P18 in the standings still.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 15 points. I'm pretty sure the majority of those points have come from that. result that he got in the main race.
Yeah, well, one of them, yeah.
What on earth is going on with Ralph Fernandez?
I don't know. I don't know what.
Actually, no, I know exactly what's going on with Ralph Fernandez. He's a pimp.
Thing is, people are going. I'm a great believer, and so are you, of remembering old results and how good someone can be. Because there's a myth in. Well, it's not a myth. There's a stigma attached to MotoGP that you're only as good as your last result, and I hate that.
It's bullshit.
The thing is, though, Ralph Fernandez did really, really well in the 2021 Moto2 World Championship, and was in another league at the end of the 2020 Moto3 World Championship. But some riders are just good in lower categories, and Raul has had flashes of brilliance. I was there in Catalonia last year when he led the sprint. I thought, my God, he's going to win it, and then he bins it. And he's got chance after chance after chance. Now, this is a cutthroat sport. I don't want it to be as cutthroat as some of the F1 contracts out at the moment, where Jack Doohan's been screwed. It's just brutal in F1. Red Bull do, and Alpine are doing. But we're not going to get onto that. I don't want it to get into that, but at the same time, the chances that Ralph Fernandez is getting, and this contradicts my fantasy, people like Gonzalez should have that ride next year. I'm really tired of it. Brivio is no idiot, so I don't know what he's up to there.
He's not a Brivio.
What he's got? Bad. You are working. You're regulars. It must be your regulars because you never used to be that bad. But no, Brivio's no idiot. But obviously,
mate, I don't understand why Ralph Fernandez. Well, I do understand why Ralph Fernandez is still there, but I really, really don't see why he's getting so many opportunities. It's not like he's got bad luck like Miguel Oliveira. Oliveira gets taken out seemingly at random all the time. It's not like that. It's not that he's pushing so hard like Acosta last year that he crashes out. It's just that he isn't getting the results. No. And yes, he got a very, very good P6 in a...
P7, yeah.
P7,
yeah.
In a very unprecedented circumstance race.
Yeah, yeah, which is fair.
Which is fair.
You do it, if that's your opportunity, do it. Yeah, get it done.
But hang on, he's behind Nakagami and he's got Savadori just behind him.
Yeah.
For crying out loud.
Yeah, Lorenzo Savadori, that's great. I love that.
Well, it was Jerez, actually. It was commentated on. There was a commentary at some point about the fact that why is Savadori still the Aprilia test rider? Mm-hmm. I mean, he's, there are so many other riders that will be a lot better than him, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think Savadori has been the test rider for Aprilia for God knows how long, 6 years, 7 years.
Yeah, he's a very, very loyal employee.
He's very loyal, and he's a great. He must be a great test rider. Because obviously Aprilia has come on leaps and bounds since its inception in the Premier class. But at the same time, Aprilia was, if you think about 2 years ago, was almost on par with the Ducatis.
Yeah, well, Aleix was on fire, wasn't he?
Aprilia, about 2 years ago, was on par with the Ducatis. Yeah. It had the straight line speed. It could be used really well. Yeah. And everything that we commented about the Aprilia was down to the riders, right? You got Aleix, who's aging. You've got Vinales, who's just like, fuck it, I'll just go and ride for them. I'll just go and fucking ride for them. I'll just do whatever I want. You didn't really have any consistency with the riders. You had the serious consistency with Aleix, and then the leapfroggy sort of mentalness with Maverick. And we sort of thought, well, Aprilia would be amazing if we had some decent riders on it. And not to discredit Aleix and Vinales, but if we had some decent riders on the Aprilia at that point in 2023, it would have been a fucking amazing bike. It was an amazing bike.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of plateaued. And then Ducati went like that. Yamaha sort of plateaued, and then they're sort of going like that.
Yeah.
Honda are going like that.
Yeah.
And Aprilia are just there.
Yeah.
And you've got now we could argue that
it's really weird now because Honda and Yamaha and KTM
you can argue
are
the worst bike on the grid. And because you've got Aprilia like that, KTM that were like that. And they really are. This year it's gone like that. And then now you've got the Japanese manufacturers, which we never thought we'd be saying this, is you've got like Aprilia, KTM, and then I'd say like Honda, Yamaha, Ducati.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that's technically
It's weird.
true.
Do you know? Do you know what? Actually, to be fair,
It's stupid. Aprilia
I
is
didn't
now
think we'd get
probably
onto this, but I'm glad we have because it's a really good part of conversation. What is the worst bike in MotoGP anymore? It used to be easily the Honda. If you go back to March 2023, when he's literally sticking the middle finger up in the last Bicini, the last corner at Mugello. No, it was coming out. It was Sachsenring. I think he stuck the middle finger up.
Yeah, Mugello,
but then he looked at his bike like that, didn't he? Bicini, Mugello like that, and that was when the Honda was the worst bike. But now, because of the concessions and these Japanese manufacturers are developing these bikes in such a great way, and then maximising it, it's distorted the midfield now. It's not even the midfield. Like Fabio's
the midfield dropped off, though. The Aprilia and the KTM. I mean, fucking hell. We're talking about Maverick Vinales, who's a rookie as far as manufacturing.
But then he's got a history of. He's now got experience. He's now got experience, Alex, moving from manufacturers. That's why he's maturing now. He's got kids. He's got a family. He's not the idiot that rev the bike anymore.
He's literally a family guy who's got a lot to lose. Life-wise, he's got a lot to lose, and he has moved across to a bike from a rather unstable bike. We did see him with a few really irritating technicals on the Aprilia. Now moving over onto the KTM and ignoring all their financial problems. And Bastianini said that bike is completely different to any other bike on the grid. Completely.
It is.
And let's face it, Bastianini's only had the Ducati. Mm-hmm. He's not had any other bike on the grid. He's only had the Ducati. So, that speaks things for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it's almost the way that Bastianini described it was, and I'm paraphrasing here, and I'm going to exaggerate as well, is that it basically seems like everything's the wrong way around.
Yeah, because he's only comparing it to the best bike in the world. Yeah.
You change gear with your right hand. You accelerate with your leg, and your clutch is on your ass, and you go like that.
and the rear right hand device is a switch on the top of your helmet.
Your helmet on your feet. You wear boots on your head. That's all. The way that Bastianini described how different the bike is.
Yeah.
At the beginning, during testing prior to this season.
Yeah.
It sounds fucking crazy how different the KTM is compared to the Ducati.
Yeah.
And also, you've got a rider coming over from Aprilia, you've got a rider coming from Moto2, and you've got Binder, who's been at KTM for the last few years, last 6 years or whatever.
Yeah.
6 years? 5 years. 5 years. Six. This is his sixth season, yeah.
That's right.
2020 was his first season.
Correct.
But you've got a melee of different riders coming in from different categories, and they're all struggling with it. Apart from the one rider that isn't struggling with it is Vinales, and we all forget Binder.
Yeah,
we always forget Binder, and Binder crashed out. But let's not forget, he's still the top KTM rider. Acosta is not.
No,
which is crazy to say.
It is, but let's not forget the point. What we were saying was like the midfield is distorted because the midfield, we class the Yamaha as a midfield bike. We never really class it. It's never really. It's even when it was its worst, it wasn't really the worst bike then. But now it's getting.
It was though.
Yeah, but now it's getting pole lap records.
Yeah, I know.
It's the fastest bike over one lap in the hands of what? No, Le Mans as well. Pole lap record.
Le Mans,
the pole lap record in the hands of only one man. I don't think Rins was about to do that.
But mate, we've just been to 2 stop-start tracks.
But that isn't a Yamaha. Well, no. Well, the thing is, they have a lot of flowing nature. But I'm saying now the Yamaha is a better bike in general. That's the point I'm making is that's distorted. That's distorted the mid pack. And stop-start isn't really. Yamaha is fast and flowing. The only thing that will stop it at Mugello, which is the fast and flowing track, is the long straights. That's going to be interesting in a couple of rounds.
This is the issue for Yamaha now, is that they appear they might not have. They appear to have sorted out their rear chatter issues on the entry and exit of corners, which is a massive point that Fabio Quartararo whinged about like fuck. But now, you have a Ducati and you have a Yamaha, and on a long straight, I'm sorry, there is no chance the Yamaha can win at Mugello.
Even with the faster motor,
there is no chance. Yeah. And even though Alex Rins has said that I reckon that we could do half a second faster at Jerez than we have been doing on the old engine, you see what happened at Le Mans with Fabio Quartararo during the sprint, and Fermin Aldeguer, he had a battle for it.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say. Yeah, he
it was just, nah.
Yeah, but it's not it's just that if you get the right exit on the Ducati, you can do that. Fabio has to rely on this this exceptional exit, so that they have less time to pass him by the end of the straight. It's frustrating, but it's getting how it's almost now. It's almost got back, dare I say it, folks, to how it was at the end of 22 when Pecco, the Ducati, was finally the better bike.
Yeah.
And Fabio was having to ride the wheels off the Yamaha just to keep the championship alive, or to keep the championship lead, because Pecco was closing on the points. It's almost like we're back there, which is actually a big compliment, actually, if you go back to 22, because everyone thought Fabio was going to romp off to the title after Sachsenring 22. But it might be getting back to that. I think in the hands of only one person, Alex Rins, I really don't know where I see him in the future of MotoGP. Every time you see him walk, he's still limping. I'm not sure if that's ever going to come back, and if it does, I'll be the first. It's not like I don't want him to. It's just
I love Alex Rins so much.
I don't think he's future. I think I don't think Yamaha can get rid of it. He'll be there next year. I don't think there's no way he won't be there next year unless there's some weird thing with Martin going on, which we'll get to that in a minute. We have to. This is a long pod, but we have to talk about Martin.
We have to talk about Martin. And we have to talk about Moto 3.
Yeah.
Not so much about Moto 2, but we have to talk about Moto 3. Yeah. But, right, let's fuck the race off and talk about
Moto 2. Yeah, we've just dissected MotoGP anyway, haven't we? So, yeah.
Do you want to do silly season first?
Well, I mean, silly season, right?
Do you want to do...
We'll talk
Moto 3, Moto
by
2
the way...
first?
No disrespect to Moto 2 riders, it was, Gonzalez again in his element. Fair play.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Brilliant race. Yeah.
Not a great race, but
it was dull.
He is the class of the field right now. He really is the class of the field. And you can't take anything away from that. And do you know what? Some of the results you see down the field, fairly status quo where you'd expect people to be to a degree. Moto 3, however, just when you think Kelso has it wrapped up, man. Just when you think he's done it.
Sorry.
He's going to interrupt me now.
Barry Baltus.
Yes.
Moto 2.
Yeah.
Mate, French-speaking guy, home hero. We were saying earlier on about the fact that there are no...
Not his first P2.
There are no... Yeah, I know. There are no... 2 in a row.
Exactly.
There are no other French riders anywhere else in the grid. We used to have Lorenzo Fallon in Moto 3 a couple of years ago. But, yeah, we haven't had... that was CRP Green Power. We haven't had a French rider for a long time in Moto 2, Moto 3.
And we still don't, obviously.
We've got the home hero, which is Barry Baltus. Yeah. And he did say, podium at the home.
The closest he's going to get to Belgium anyway.
That is fucking great. I mean, I really...
I bet you a lot of Belgians do go.
And he made some great passes as well. He really did look so strong. And he got past, and then he passed back. And he was absolutely fantastic. And Moreira... I really, really expected more from Moreira. He's now in his sophomore year in Moto 2. And he made some quite silly mistakes.
I think he's just going through the motions, Diogo.
I think he is as well. And I genuinely think that he'll be in MotoGP one day.
He will. I think he'll win the Moto2 Championship next year. I think by the way, what you were saying, Alex does know that Barry Baltus is Belgian, by the way. He's talking about the language. But at the same time...
Yeah, of course he does. Dingwall.
Yeah, but some people are idiots, aren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, Diogo Moreira.
No, our podcast, we don't have any idiots listen to us because we just rinse you because you're stupid.
Yeah, like our jokes. Anyway, Diogo Moreira will, I think he'd be the person to beat next year. I still think he's got a little bit more adaptation's the wrong word. I think maturity and consistency, and he'll be fine. He'll be fine. He'll be MotoGP, and MotoGP, I think we'll make sure of it because I keep touching buttons on this watch. Sorry, we'll want him to be because we're going to Brazil next year. And
this is why I put Moreira in my fantasy for.
Well, so did I. Yeah, but regardless of politics, he will get there, will Diogo. But yeah.
Do you know who really impressed me in the opening parts of Moto2 race was Philip Salac. What a move he made!
He did make a good move.
And
it was great.
It was brutal. Finished P7 overall, Salac.
But then
I'm currently learning Czech because Czech is
where we going?
an amazing language. Because we're going to Brno, and I spend a lot of time in the Czech Republic. So and I hate going there and having to speak German to them because they hate the Germans. Well, they don't hate the Germans. People I speak to hate the Germans because they're Sudetans. Anyway, so I'm learning Czech, and so what I love at the moment is that I have an English-Czech team in Elfmark VDS.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that I've got my home hero and I've got my home from home hero.
Yeah.
So I've got Dixon and Salac. So I always follow Salac.
Yeah. Expect Alex to come back from Brno with the 2025 Elfmark VDS soft shell jacket.
I'm not buying any more of that shit. I've got enough. I've got 2 jackets and
oh, you do, don't you? Yeah.
Fucking t-shirt.
There's only a few new logos. You don't need to. But
I've got the Sam Lowe's Elfmark VDS one.
But of course, yes.
Well, of course. Anyway, Arenas, amazing all weekend. He did a really good job, and then did exactly what Arenas does. Just bring it home in P6.
Wasn't that Gonzalez's old job?
No, P5.
Sorry, beg your pardon. It was.
So what was really funny is that they were talking about Manu Gonzalez and how he's Mr. Consistency. They never actually mentioned Mr. P5.
No.
Because remember when Leo at Bad MotoGP memes used to be making memes, and it was like the absolute perfect Moto2 race. It was Aaron Canet P2, Manu Gonzalez P5.
Nice.
And it was like those two could be leading the race. There could be a battle between Canet and Gonzalez. And it's like, hang on a minute, shit, no, wait, right. I need to go P2, you need to go P5. All right, cool. And then they go P2, P5.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Anyway, so it's amazing to see Manu Gonzalez winning races now and consistently winning races because he was so consistently P5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember those years? Yeah. 23, 24, consistently P5.
Yeah.
And now he's consistently P1. That makes me so happy because I love Manu Gonzalez. I think he's an amazing guy.
He's a lovely guy. And
he's a chill guy. Yeah, and he's just another amazing rider that we need to be seeing on the MotoGP stage.
I think we'll do. I think it's another nail in the coffin for career hopes for MotoGP for Aaron Canet. If Gonzalez
100%.
Gonzalez can do it, then why isn't Canet doing? But anyway, let's move. We'll just go on a tangent if we carry on like that.
Top rookie for Moto2 was Ortola in P9. Great job from him. Via crashed out of the race, unfortunately. Not really a home race for Via, but Northern Europe, so whatever. Aegis did a cracking job as well. Roberts, good to see Roberts back in P12. It's good to see. What's really annoying is this time last year we were seeing Roberts win, and then injured himself and hasn't really come back. So I'm really hoping to see Roberts come back because obviously this time last year we were talking about the Trackhouse Aprilia move for a Moto2 rider.
Another. Well, to be fair, that time he was trying to get the Aprilia ride, wasn't he?
I mean, everyone was like, if he doesn't get the Trackhouse Aprilia ride, then I'm going to eat my own pubes. And unfortunately, he didn't get it because he crashed, hurt himself, and then everything went tits up from there. But disappointing for Holgado. Danny Holgado didn't score a point.
No.
But
it's his rookie year, I think.
Yeah, but we're so used to seeing Holgado being the top rookie.
Yeah, we are. But I think, as a rookie in Moto2, the hardest motorsport in Championship, almost competitive in the world, arguably, to learn. I think, the odds, he's been excelling above everyone's expectations as Danny Holgado. So
yes.
Fair play to him, yeah. Should we move on to Moto3 before we talk about Martin and wrap this up? So, Joel Kelso, I mean, what does he have to do to win a Grand Prix? I mean, out of his hands, really. And I'm really, really, really getting sick of David Munoz. I'm getting really sick of his antics because it's...
Right, no, I'm going to stop you there.
Go on.
I was seriously impressed by David Munoz.
Okay.
Seriously impressed.
Why? Well, okay, he was fast and his pace was at the front, but go on.
No,
go on.
Not because of that.
Go on.
Because how many fucking times did we see David Munoz look at an option to overtake and think, no, not going to do it now. Not going to do it now. Not going to do it now. Happened 6 times. I rewatched the race 3 times, and I counted how many times I watched David Munoz think, I could do it now. 6 times. And it was key overtaking hotspots after he got a slipstream, and then going, no, you know what? If I do that, we're both going to lose time, and Rueda's going to catch up to us.
Okay, by that logic, yes, I get. He's maybe thinking more, which is good.
Genuinely think David Munoz turned the corner at Le Mans, and he turned the corner without making anyone crash, which is rare. Which is rare. David Munoz made some fucking hideous moves. Hideous is a strong word. He has made some hideous moves. He made some very choice moves. One thing that I noticed between the top 3, so Kelso leading, Munoz in second, and Rueda in the third, battling in the last 5 laps, is every single pass that Rueda made. By the way, what a recovery from Rueda.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
What I noticed was, watching them, thinking, every time Rueda passes someone, it's very sort of like, hello, goodbye.
Yeah, but he's very
every time Munoz does one, he's like, can you just fuck off? Yeah. You just move.
But the thing is,
you're in the way.
And
that's classic Munoz. However, Munoz, for me, was the rider of the weekend, the surprise rider of the weekend.
Wow. Well, I
genuinely, because I fucking hate him. I hate Munoz, usually. Mainly because he,
Well, we don't need to... We
didn't shake my hand at Silverstone. but also because he's just a prick. And everyone knows he's a prick. He knows he's a prick. And
I don't mind that in a sportsman.
And he's,
there comes a point when...
But the amount of stupid moves that he pulls where he's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
And then the other rider goes, bang, done.
I don't mind it in personality.
He did it really, really, really well. He made some aggressive Marquez-style moves that weren't dive bombs. They were just, I'm going to pass you, but, you're standing back on the line, so fuck off. Rueda made some every single pass that Rueda made was absolutely biblically beautiful. Yeah. It was stunning. Yeah. Clinical, perfect. Rueda deserved to win that race.
Yeah, he did.
Kelso deserved to win that race.
Yeah.
Munoz, he deserved to win that race as well for me, because it's the first time I've ever seen him race on a Sunday and think about what he was doing before he did it.
You're seeing the bigger picture about that. I get that. I still have to disagree because of the impact in the last corner. It's still too. Thing is that look, we've seen over
snapshot. That was
it happened
like that.
It did.
You can't help it if you're Kelso. If you're Munoz.
Yeah, I still think it could have been. Look, if you're
thrown into that,
that is a corner where you do see overtakes. The second to last corner, the first of the double right. It's basically one corner anyway.
Yeah,
you do see overtaking manoeuvres attempted there, and sometimes executed well. But he does need to sharpen up. Look, in the race, yes, he was maybe backing off now and again more than normal. I'll give you that. But at the same time, no, I'm not just. I have to disagree with that to a degree because it's getting too much now, and Kelso was saying as well. I just don't want someone to get hurt because the argy-bargy is fun and we like elbows now and again, but he's a repeat offender, and I'm a bit
He's a
tired.
repeat offender.
I'm a bit tired of it,
But
to be
he
fair.
tidied himself up this weekend.
And this is one of the best. That's one of the best rides in Moto3 right now. It really is. So fair play to another P3, a P3 for Munoz. But
tell you what though, Pini really, really fucked himself over. That could have been a solid points win. He could have easily got a P4, P5. And Pini fucked himself.
Yeah.
And it was a stupid move and a stupid crash.
Yeah.
And
it was.
It was a classic rookie thing.
Yeah. That's
and
fair.
He'll learn. But Pini seems to be learning from dive bombing people. And to be honest, both of the Dynavolt, both of the Intact GP guys seem to be really behaving themselves. It's like they both had a smacked bum.
Yeah, well, maybe they've had a talking to from the team boss,
Mate, you look at Pini in rookies, and you just think, this guy's just a dive bomb specialist. Yeah. He's just a prick. He spends more time on his arse after spoiling other people's races. And that's what Pini's like. We know that's what he's like. Maybe.
Again, a rookie thing.
But I really think that Intact GP have got their hands full with David Munoz and then fucking Pini. Like Pini and Munoz together.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, they're dive bomb specialists.
That's a brave two managers, isn't hiring those two? But then you wouldn't know what's going to happen. But anyway.
I think it was a great race.
Keyless as well, P7, not bad. Fair play to Keyless.
Oh, and the first mistake from Piqueras.
Yes.
First mistake of the year. He's scored points in every single race.
Yep.
Apart from Le Mans.
Yeah.
And this is Piqueras has won at Le Mans in rookies. He's also been on the podium other times.
Yeah.
So it's a strong thing for him. And man, when Piqueras crashed, I was like, Rueda. I was like, Rueda, if he wins this race now, Rueda needs to win this race. Yeah. And then he's like, fuck you, fuck you, Angel.
I do think if there's one championship that's going to go down to the wire, which isn't a shock in Moto3, it's been down to the wire twice in MotoGP the last 2 years. But I do think this one will go to the wire because I think Piqueras will find his mojo and Rueda won't bin it because he's experienced now. But I think this will go down to the wire because I still don't think Rueda is that much better than Piqueras. I think Piqueras is more naturally talented than Rueda personally. But it's if this year Piqueras is ready in his second year, his sophomore, like you love saying. Is ready to challenge Rueda. I think he might well be, but it's early days yet. I think if there's one championship going down to the wire, it's this one, folks. So
29 points in between the two championship leaders. So there's 29 points between Jose Antonio Rueda with 116 and 87 points to Angel Piqueras.
Yeah.
Which, mate.
By the way, third for Kelso.
This is going to be fucking close. It's going to be really close. And Joe Kelso 10 points behind Piqueras with 77 points.
Yeah.
I really thought that we would be seeing more from Adrian Fernandez. I thought we'd be seeing more from Johann Zarco. Yamanaka really came into his own.
Yeah.
He pulled some amazing moves in the early parts of the race and then binned it. Yeah. Unfortunately, I really thought Yamanaka was going to be great. But this year, I don't think we're going to have the runaway leadership that we're going to have like we did last year.
No.
I don't think anyone would have predicted that. But I really do think that Rueda is doing an absolutely textbook job. Speaking of textbook jobs, I think the same thing with Gonzalez in too.
Well, I think we speak about last year. I think I predicted it for Alonso, but not for 14 wins. No, but so this year is more unpredictable, definitely, which is good. For a change. And Moto3 should be like that.
Moto3, we've got Rueda, who's been with us for this is his third year now. Because remember, last year he was getting his arse handed to him by Akiyao, and finally got a win. It was like, fucking hell. And Akiyao last year was like tearing his hair out. The year before, Akiyao was just like, ha. Well, and then last year, Akiyao was just like, I can't make any of my guys win in two classes. I can't make any of these fuckers win. And but because he obviously had Onshu in Moto2 as a rookie, and Rueda just his sophomore year just wasn't going to plan. But anyway, at the moment, Nicky Ayo his son seems to be having a pretty whale of a time when it comes to Moto3. Because Jose Antonio Rueda, awesome job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's basically a full race win ahead of his championship rival. And Angel Piqueras, in his sophomore year, is doing an incredible job. But first blunder of the year. And when everyone starts saying, "Oh, Piqueras is going to start crashing," he just crashes. Because remember, this whole thing that you were saying about you're only as good as your last result. Fuck off. Piqueras has been consistent and has won points in every single race, all the way up until Le Mans when he crashed out.
Yeah.
So, Rueda, amazing. Piqueras, amazing. And Kelso clawing back some really valuable points for the P2, which I actually thought was a P3, but the official standings are a P2 for Le Mans.
Yeah, after that. But anyway.
Just want to say one thing. Just want to say I very, very, very rarely watch MotoE. But I did watch some MotoE. And I just want to say, Eric Granado, hope everything's going all right.
Yes.
Because that was a fucking horrible crash.
Mm-hmm.
When the crash itself was pretty tame. And then, I forgotten the guy's name. Fusco.
Yeah.
Crashing into his legs when he stood up.
Yeah, when that happens, you just think,
oh man.
Yeah, I know.
And what I really, and credit to Dorna here, they showed the replay of Granado's crash, but then they didn't show the replay of Fusco crashing into Granado. And I'm really, really, really glad that Dorna have finally not finally, because it's happened a few times with other things
in the past, but they're learning from it. Yeah.
Big kudos to Dorna for not showing the horrendous collision that Fusco had with Eric Granado when he was stood up and the bike went into his legs and flipped him over.
That's the one thing.
And when we didn't know what was going on with Granado, they didn't show the replay of that. That was great. But Eric Granado, I've seen a really positive photo of him, as positive as it can be, in hospital with one leg up. It seems like he's broken one leg. I think it was a tibia or a fibia or whatever.
Yeah, which is fairly obvious. But
those bikes are so heavy. Yeah. Those bikes are so fucking heavy. Massive kudos to Donna for that. And Eric Granado, hope you're all right. And
also kudos briefly before I was just going to touch on. Actually, I will say this first. Herrera, P4, fantastic.
Oh yeah, Maria Herrera,
fantastic.
Awesome.
P4, really well done to Maria. Fantastic ride. And but before I forget to say this, also we spoke about this last week, and it was we spoke about it for half an hour with Ryan. But kudos to British Superbikes for not replaying the tragic accident in British Supersport.
Yes.
For not replaying that. And in fact, the camera panned away. And you will always annoyingly see people sharing stuff on the internet of replaying the crash involving 11 riders. And it's always the same. The biggest risk is oncoming riders when someone crashes. If there's a pack, that's the biggest scare. And our thoughts remain with the families of Owen and Shane. That was horrific. The feeling of the road racing in British Superbike paddocks going to Northwest 200 must have been quite... Oh yeah. So thoughts with all those families still, and teams. It's just terrific. Hope everyone enjoyed Northwest 200. By the way, I watched a few races. A bit controversial, but that's another conversation.
Yes, Hickey wasn't very happy, was he?
Yeah, I wouldn't have been either.
I wouldn't have been. No. I was at Harewood for the hill climb, as I said earlier on, and I was speaking to someone that actually knew of Owen's family. And
Oh really?
Yeah. So that was a touching and very sad moment.
Yeah.
But motorsport continues. Yeah. Everyone loves the sport. People that ride and unfortunately succumb to its joys.
It does make you feel
they enjoy it, and we all need to remember to be completely respectful and
We just need to remember that it's one of the sports that the riders know the risks.
They know the risks, and they'll always, Anyway,
but
I'll not go down.
No. We did that on the last week, but it does make you feel a little bit dirty being a motorcycle racing fan now and again. When that happens, you just think, "Oh God, what are we doing?" But yeah, it is what it is. Moving on to really, really weird news. Before we wrap up, this isn't extra long. I hope it's still recording. I had a full battery, more or less.
It
is. Oh yeah, check the microphones. Jorge Martin, motorsport.com have dropped a bombshell scoop. Martin wants out of Aprilia, and he's only had 12. Well, no, he had a full test session at the end of last year in Catalonia, the Solidarity Grand Prix test, and then 12 laps, not even that, in Sepang, sent it to the moon. Michelin was blamed by Aprilia, and then he came back for Qatar.
Aprilia were blamed by Michelin,
and and
no, both ways.
Well, they both blamed each other, and then obviously Qatar, we had that accident on the Misano curbs, and then he got clipped, and then he's injured again. Now he wants out of Aprilia. Yes, he's injured. I'm sorry, my point of view. I mean, there's very mixed opinions on this around the Twitter sphere and all the socials. I don't think. What are you doing, Jorge? I mean, I don't get it. It's not really. Look, if you're hurt and you've been hurt twice on the same bike, and it's putting you off racing, I mean, that's what actually made me think.
I think it's been overthought, mate. I think it's been overthought. I think the fact that it's been flagged up in Jorge Martin's contract. After Le Mans, if the bike isn't performing, he's allowed to look.
It's a clause, I know.
It's a clause.
Yeah.
So I think that's come about. I haven't actually heard anything at all from Jorge Martin.
Well, you wouldn't. No, you won't. You won't. No. There's no way he'll do that.
Right. So all that's happened is, in my perspective anyway, all that's happened is someone has realised his clause in his contract and the exit terms for his contract and gone, we're past Le Mans now. And the bike hasn't performed. Because he's not fucking there.
Yeah.
So maybe.
There's no way. This has been leaked. This has been leaked on purpose.
No one knows.
No one knows what's
stupid. It's stupid.
No one knows what's leaked in this contract.
Don't fucking listen to this stuff.
No. This is a proper scoop. This is a proper scoop for motorsport.com. This is everyone talking about it. All the legitimate MotoGP journalists who have permanent paddock passes are talking about it because it is legitimate. This has been leaked on purpose. This is my guess, so he can get out of it because he's obviously crashed twice. The last 2 times he's been on the bike, but I don't understand why. When Agura can get good results, it's a good bike. Bezecchi's got into Q2 a few times. Bezecchi's not doing too badly.
Crashing out, but
the bike is not bad. It's obviously it will be just as good as last year, if not better. There might be a few flaws, like Bagnaia on the GP25 doesn't like it as much. But at the same time, I think this is too early. It's just daft from Jorge Martin. It's not really good.
It's really daft.
He's a world champion. You've already won a MotoGP World Championship. Not many people can say they won a MotoGP World Championship, right? He's in his mid-20s. He can get back to full fitness. I pretty want to keep him. Yes, he wants to be immediately on a bike that can win. Okay. But look, it's not a good test of character. This doesn't look good on his character at all.
I mean, he already tarnished his character with the whole.
Yes, he's.
Well, if I don't get a factory Ducati ride, then I'm out. And then did get a factory Ducati ride, and then spat his dummies out the pram and all that sort of stuff. But genuinely, the way that I have seen it, I've seen it from a different angle, and the different angle is that somebody has noticed the clause in his contract.
No one will have seen the contract, though, Al.
Yeah, no, but somebody somewhere has leaked the clause in his contract and then said that is what he wants. Not necessarily. Nowhere has Jorge Martin said, I want out of my... Nobody has said, I want out of my contract. Somebody has leaked the clauses of his contract and said he can be out if the bike isn't performing by Le Mans. Thing is Jorge Martin has only performed for half a race weekend, well, for the vast majority of a race weekend, once at Qatar, and that's it. The rest of the season he hasn't actually had it on. So why on earth would he now start, with his reputation of going, oh, well, if I don't get this, then I'm going to go away. And everyone's taking the piss out of him, and everyone's sort of taking it seriously.
It could be a fair thing, because it spat him off twice.
But why would he then say...
Which he hasn't.
Exactly. He hasn't
said it. Yeah,
that's the important
but
thing.
he won't.
He
Alex.
hasn't said a fucking word.
Yeah, but he won't.
The only thing that's important. The only thing that's important, mate. The only thing that's important is the clause in his contract that has been leaked, and that's it. And therefore, I think he'll be in the Aprilia next year.
I don't think he will.
I think he will.
I will.
Of course he will.
I'll bet 50 quid right now that he won't.
I'll bet 50 quid right now.
Because this is legitimate. Because this is an actual.
It's just
leak.
Bullshit. It's just hearsay. I know it's like, right.
If the relationship,
that's the wrong word.
If in his
it's
mind,
official, but it's fucking bullshit.
But he's not going to come out, and there's no way any rider would do that unless he wants to sit out the rest of the year, because they could fire him if they wanted to, and they could have Savadori take over or whatever. There's no way Martin. I don't know if he's going to come out with a statement. If it was not true, he would absolutely put on his Instagram. We've seen riders and drivers put it on their socials. I have not said this. This is not true. They've said it straight away. In a statement the following week, they have said things like this. He's not said anything, and Aprilia have denied to comment. That tells me this is true, and they're trying to work it out, because Aprilia will take this to court, probably, because they're going to think, well, hang on a minute, you've been injured. You can't take that as a fair. Even though that's what annoys me about Martin. You cannot treat this as fair by Le Mans. You can't. I mean, we don't know what Jorge's been saying to Aprilia. We'll never know unless there's an autobiography or a documentary in 10 years' time. But if the relationship is already broken, we all know the contracts mean shit in MotoGP anyway.
Mate, the guy's basically a disabled pope. He's allowed his rule that he asked for about having a test before returning to MotoGP has been enacted.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He's had that.
This guy is all powerful at the moment.
He is,
and but if people are saying that he's going to leave Aprilia, it's bullshit. It's not going to work.
I think he'll.
Where's he going to go?
Honda.
Bullshit.
No, I think that's
not. No,
I think
not right now. It's not going to happen right now. He wants to be world champion again. He's not going to...
Yeah, but if you're thinking like Jorge Martin, you've got 2027 not far behind the corner.
Yes.
Honda will be a manufacturer you would want to ride for. They will develop their own...
I know, but I just don't see it happening this year for him.
There'll be more money involved, mate.
There'll be a lot more money involved, yeah.
I think it's because it makes sense if you say it like this. If Honda approached him, it's not working out with Joan or it's not working out with Luca...
Who's basically...
You'd rather have a world champion who, every time Martin gets on the bike, he's an animal. He's a talented animal. He's aggressive on the bike. He's not an aggressive wheel-to-wheel racer as such. He's fair, but I'm just saying he's brilliant. I'm just saying this isn't a good test of character. I'd love to agree with Alex and say he'll stay with 2026 Aprilia, like as per contract.
And here's a good point that counters my point. Who would you, if you were HRC? Who would you pay money to buy next year? Pedro Acosta or Jorge Martin?
And I have to pick one.
Yeah. Because Pedro Acosta's already exploring.
Well, he is.
Getting out of KTM.
I'd probably pick Acosta, but then again, Collins, again, legitimate media. Acosta is not. Acosta isn't interested.
Yeah,
he isn't interested. So I think Martin is probably he's maybe using this clause so he can accept an offer. That's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, if you're world champion, surely in your head you think, well, if Aguirre can do this, I can fucking do it.
If Aguirre could do it.
Well, I'm not talking about Aprilia riders.
If
Aguirre, if he can do it, I can do it when I'm fit. I just think it's bad. It doesn't look good on his character, but at the same time, it's just messy at the moment. I don't know how it's going to work out for everyone involved. For people like Marini, for Mir, for Acosta, who wants out of KTM. I don't want him to go to Ducati. He wants to go to Ducati. Where's he going to go? Who's he going to replace? Morbidelli? Not under Valentino Rossi's watch.
No.
And I don't think that...
DTM.
I mean, is Valentino going to sit down with Franco Morbidelli and say, sorry,
move aside
for Acosta? Well, it's not impossible.
I'm going to open up a World Superbike team, and you can head it.
Franco can still be at podiums. There's just not enough rides, MotoGP. That's the bottom line. But at the same time, this is really messy. But I will...
4 more likes. 4 more likes.
I'll bet you 50 quid that he's not on Aprilia next year. If the relationship has already broke down, I don't care what happens in court, there'll be a settlement. It's not going to happen. I'll be gobsmacked if Martin, after this, is on Aprilia next year. Unless he just comes out with a late statement, sorry, I was on holiday. I'm staying with Aprilia. It's bullshit. The clause has been made up. Don't know who leaked it, but it's bullshit. No.
I think you're talking out of your ass.
I think you'll find... I just don't know how it will work out after. No one does, but there's no way he'll be on Aprilia next year. I can't imagine it. I can't imagine it after this. This is just... looks bad on Aprilia. It looks worse on Martin.
It's really bad on Aprilia.
But I think Martin's probably just... He's scared himself.
He's really good
he's
at
scared
making
himself
people
because
bad.
he's crashed. He's last 2 times he's gone on a bike, he's crashed big time, and it scared him. Do you remember 2021 at Portimao?
Fuck.
He crashed on that
That was his.
Yeah, but he
almost career ending.
It took him a long time to get back to confidence. Now he's had 2 big crashes in the Aprilia. I'm just thinking, maybe he's thinking, no. I'm not doing it. I'm not fucking getting back on that bike. I don't care how fast the Giro can be. I'm not doing it. It could be that. So we'll see, folks. But yeah, this is actually. I'm glad we disagree to a degree because it's fun.
Yeah.
But I can't see
and
it.
And there's 50 quid on it each way.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, so there you go, folks.
Nice.
And it's we've there we go, seen it. All the 100 viewers we get across 2 platforms, but there we go. It's getting dark now, folks. But hopefully these little lights lit up my pale face.
No, because they're behind.
And Alex had hair and makeup. Alex isn't actually that brown. He's had hair and makeup before, but we went on.
Hopefully, I've had Alina Matsu's hair and makeup. No, I haven't. So I'm still ugly.
Anyway, so we'll see how this unfolds. Goodness knows what Aprilia press officer is going to have to. Honestly, when the press conference for the British GP, Aprilia will be rattled with questions. That'll be interesting. So we'll have to see a week tomorrow for the British Grand Prix press conference, if anyone in Aprilia is in attendance. But there'll be plenty of journos sniffing around in an interview, so we'll have to see. But next week we'll be back for the British Grand Prix review. I don't know what we're going to do. I know a few people that we speak to are there. So...
Should we get to Harewood for the British hill climb?
Yeah. I'm actually off. I was off that weekend. I can't make it, but Brno will be a much bigger event.
Brno's going to be great.
Yeah,
Someone's going to be
To
awkward.
be fair, Silverstone races are actually always good. Tell you what,
they're always good.
I tell you what, I put money on the race being brilliant, and but just not enough people there, which is a shame. But we'll talk about it next week, Al.
Yeah, we will.
And thanks for tuning in to goodness knows how long this is. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, folks. And again, well done, Johann Zarco, and well done, the French Grand Prix, the event. That was a Fairytale event.
Absolutely,
really yeah,
absolutely beautiful. And Joe Kelso, sort your fucking ass out. Right, thank you very much indeed, and we'll see you all again next week for, as we say, the Silverstone Grand Prix preview. Yeah. And see you then. Toodaloo.
It wasn't your fault, Joel.
Yeah, it was. Good night.
Good night. Cheers.